Hello, Howell High School AP Psychology. This week's unit is a little bit different than the first couple, so I wanted to kind of walk you through a little bit here. So, what you'll find is the format is the same. So, the roadmap just tells you what we're covering this week, which is learning. That's all the stuff about operating classical conditioning and cognitive psychology. That includes thinking, language, and memory. So, there's actually quite a bit in cognitive psychology. So that's just the stuff we're covering or reviewing. The Explorer, again, same thing. Below, I will link all the crash courses and AP review videos. I will just be honest with you, I've been a little bit disappointed in the AP review videos, not because they're not quality, they're just so long and there's so many of them. So I post them for you for those of you that want access to those all in one place on the specific topics we're covering. However, I would actually encourage you probably just to go straight to the crash courses. And you can see there's still quite a few. There's six of them, but all six are about an hour as opposed to the six or seven AP Psych reviews, which are like 6 hours, which again I think is a little bit um, much at this point in the year. So if you have time, use those. They are really good. But if you are crunched for time or just kind of stressing out, I would the crash courses in psychology are really accurate. They just won't be quite as detailed as the others. That's where your notes will become really important. Remember, you're just all reviewing right now. You still will use notes and stuff when you actually take the AP exam. So when you see all those links, same thing last week. Please don't feel overwhelmed. I'm kind of worried that putting them all in there overwhelms you. That's why I've been try to be very clear that I don't expect you and don't even actually encourage you to watch all of them. So again, that part's not really changed, but I just want another reminder. And for those of you that prefer to read, if you have an AP prep book, 5 Steps for a 5 is free online. I gave you that link in an earlier post. You can probably Google it. If you have another one, a Barron's or a Princeton review, those all work just fine, and they don't have to be brand new. And at this point, it's probably not too late to get one used through Amazon, although some of the Amazon orders are taking a while these days. So the unique part here is the create. The first couple weeks I asked you to respond to an FRQ. The first one I had you go to the AP classroom. Last week I tried to stream that a little bit by just putting the practice FRQ directly in the Google Classroom. This week I'm actually changing it up. So what I've done is below I've put FRQ week of 427. So all you're doing this week, instead of writing that FRQ, is I'm going to have you read a sample response, look at the rubric, and grade it, just so you have a more clear sense of exactly what they are expecting from you on the 19th. And so when you scroll down, you will find, it says right here, FRQ week of 427. And again, this is something I'm asking you just to read. I tell you that right here, read a past FRQ, read and rate a student response. So if you go to this link, it's going to work for me because I was logged in earlier. It may not work for you if you're not logged in. What you'll find here is the FRQ. So this is the long one. I wouldn't expect one to be this long this year. The only thing on here we haven't covered though is social facilitation. That would be part of social psychology, which we didn't cover. That doesn't really matter for this. So this was the question from one of the questions from 2017. It goes through the rubric. You've seen these before. I've given them out in class, and I've given them out, since we've gone remote. What's unique on this one is you actually have two student responses. So what I'm asking you to do is look at the question, look at the rubric, and then go through this response and grade it. And this should help you to better understand exactly what it takes to get points. You'll have to evaluate someone else, which hopefully helps you think about your own writing and process you go through. As you can see, this isn't super easy to read. That should also be a reminder to those of you who don't write very clearly that if you write more clearly, it does make it easier to give you points. And there are two of them. That's the end of the first one, and then there's a second student response. You can do either one. So if this one's easier for you to read, you can read it. I like how this student has underlined stuff. It makes it really easier for the grader, in this case you, to find them. And then that's it. I'm not actually asking you to post how you graded it because if you scroll further down, you will actually you'll see they tell you to score. And again, I really want you to read through this and we'll give you a sense of how the people that will be grading you in just a few weeks here are thinking. So that is in there. And again, that is a reading only assignment. Now, if this link didn't work, I also put the actual PDF of that. So if the directions are there, but if the link didn't work, if you click on this, this is the actual PDF, same exact thing. So that should work. That should work for you if the other one didn't. From there, if you go back to, again, this kind of walks you through. So that's a little weird. I also, for those of you that want more practice writing, I gave you an optional practice writing prompt. If you go down here, it says optional, it's there. This has a copy for each of you. So if you want to respond to it and send it to me by clicking submit, you may do that, but this is literally and completely optional. What I'm going to encourage you to do, because a lot of you were concerned about how long this is going to take you, is practice. So set yourself up, get your notes out, get your book out, whatever you're going to use to do these FRQs, and then write it and time yourself. I did shorten it, so the actual practice FRQ, this is from the AP Classroom, I just copied it here for you, had 2 more terms. So I took those out just to give you, I think this is probably more the length that you'll be asked in the AP exam. And then, oops, I may have forgotten to give you the rubric to that. So I might have to go back and edit that. So that is in there. Yeah, the rubric's not there, so I'll go back and add that real quick. And then, of course, when you're done with everything, you go to the evaluation. Make sure you put your name. And then I just ask you, this is more of a checklist for you than anything else. Did you read some of the stuff or watch the videos? Did you read the sample FRQ, which I just showed you? Did you decide to do the optional? I'm just kind of curious, just a reminder that that's there. And then I did ask you to post a reflection on the FRQ. So if you go back to the prompt, the share says after reading the student responses to the FRQ link below and the comments on this post. So you go to the bottom of this post in the comments and you will just describe whichever FRQ response you read, what the strengths were. So was the student organized? Were they clear? Were they concise? Whatever you think they did well, I just want you to think about that. So that's mostly, I'm trying to get you to pay attention to what works so that when you write your own responses, you've kind of thought about, well, what works? And then, of course, what doesn't a little bit. So that is what you will do this week. I will go back and put in the answer document for this as well. All right, take care.